Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned it as well too, right? Like during that San Francisco game, had some unbelievable throws that it doesn't matter who is the defensive back on the other team.
Oh yeah,
You're just not getting a hand on that, right? The Cooper Cup along the sideline back shoulder throw,
that
the
was
touchdown to Cup as well too, just unbelievable. Like if you're looking at the connection between Stafford and Cup, and you just start stacking them up against all the greats in Rams history. I'm talking, the Torrey Holts, the Isaac Bruces, like how significant, even though he didn't end up breaking any of the records that he was chasing, came up just a little bit short on all of them. Like, where does
had a
he sort of
chance.
stack up in Rams history with the all-time great seasons?
I mean, Cooper Kupp had the greatest receiving season of all time, in my opinion. What he was able to do without Robert Woods, I understand they add Odell and people will say that, but again, like I said, took him time to get integrated. He also worked with a second year receiver that hardly got any run his rookie year. He went from, oh, you're going to be our guy. We're going to use you a ton early on the season, to I don't even remember him taking snaps towards the end of the year until maybe the playoffs in Van Jefferson. So, what Cooper Kupp was able to do was just unbelievable. And you saw this is when Stafford needed to make a play, he went to Cooper Kupp, and it's not just the touchdowns, it's the yards after contact, it's the yards after the catch, it's what he created with his value. And you throw to Cooper Kupp, you throw a screen pass, he's going to try his best to just get a first, and that's the thing is obviously most guys you would assume are that like that, but not him. This is not somebody that's going to go out of bounds unless he absolutely feels like he has to. Quite honestly, I haven't seen many receivers like him. All around ability. To me, it was the best season for a receiver. It was a season that was better than Calvin Johnson, in my opinion. He didn't break the record. Love Calvin Johnson. Respect the hell out of him. His 2011 season was better than 2012. He just didn't break records in 2011 with the receiving. But 2011 they go 10-6. 2012, they go 4-12 or whatever. So, I don't know if that was necessarily conducive to winning football. A lot of it was, he only had 4 or 5 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp at one point going into this game was, I believe, 10-0, where the Rams were 11-0 when Cooper Kupp caught a touchdown. If that doesn't tell you something. So, I've never seen more consistency out of a receiver. You're talking his worst game of the year, he had just barely over 60 yards against Arizona back, like week 3 or 4. But, besides you throw that game away, like every single game, he had at least 90 yards receiving. It is unbelievable. I don't think it's ever been done. He just had an unbelievable season. And, sure, he's not getting, the 16 or 17 yards per reception, but he also doesn't run a 4.2.
Mhm.
So, he has some limitations in that regard, and he still made do with them. And, he made some key, receptions, especially on that last drive, going into overtime against, San Francisco, to make that reception down the left sideline. That throw Stafford throws off his back foot is incredible, about 37 yards down the field, whatever, that gain. And then the back shoulder corner fade in the end zone to take the lead. That's Cooper Kupp. And that's why, to me, I wouldn't go necessarily, I wouldn't stop going as far as to say he had the best season of any receiver. He should be MVP this year. He really should. I look at the quarterbacks, and I'm as big of a Rodgers fan as anybody. I've gone on record and said that he is the greatest quarterback of all time. Yes, even better than Brady. And all this would do is prove, it would help my argument if he wins another MVP. But he's not MVP, and neither is Tom Brady, and neither is Stafford, neither is Burrow, and whoever else you want to throw there. Reason being is no one had the season Kupp had besides maybe TJ Watt, and no one's giving him any credit. So, I think what it comes down to is you have a 12-5 season. You have a receiver that has one of the greatest seasons of his position. He's on pace to, break records. The only reason he really didn't is because he's not all about going after records. This team isn't about that. They could have force fed him. There are a lot of those games. You look at the Texans game, all the starters were out by the beginning of the third quarter. I was at the Giants game halfway through the third. You had John Wolford in there. Uh, he had plenty of opportunities where if they wanted to run up the score the way Bruce Arians does in Tampa, they could have, but they didn't. So I don't feel like that should go against Kupp. I feel like Kupp was more valuable to his team. Obviously, Stafford's incredible, but the thing that we found is that Kupp with an even Kupp with an even, above average quarterback, since Goff really hasn't been above average since 2018, this is what he can do.
Mhm.
And so he really stepped up, and keep in mind, everything he did, he needed to do for the Rams to go 12-5. They had a lot of those close games this season. A lot of games came down to the wire. They needed every bit of that, 1,946 yard season, 16 touchdowns, 147 or whatever, receptions. They needed every bit of that to get where they did. That's what I will always say. And that's why, to me, Aaron Rodgers had a great season, but stack it up with the other seasons he's had. If a quarterback is going to win over Cooper Kupp, then just call it the quarterback award, because I would have need to see, breaking, Peyton Manning's passing record, over 5,500 yards, 56 or 57 touchdown passes. That's what I would have needed to see. And I simply didn't see that. And so I feel like the only one that really had that argument was TJ Watt. And you could have argued Jonathan Taylor, except the fact that, Derrick Henry almost had 1,000 yards when he was out for the year, so that's another thing. So, that's a, 50th all time, I believe, season. That's how crazy the running back position has been. We're talking Cooper Kupp, not even, my opinion. Cooper Kupp is in the top 5 in almost every category, in the history of the league, single season at that position.